because a lot of times we try to get great distances by taking big steps. But to get great distances, we need to take small steps, day after day after day, small, consistent steps. PTP motivation, here we go. Today I want to talk to y'all about how small steps of obedience can get you great distances. That's right, small steps of obedience can get you great distances. I'm talking about like, it's as if you're like leaping and bounding and like running, but it's like, it's just small steps of obedience. Just those simple things can take you great distances. And I'm gonna give you an example and tell you a personal testimony, because years ago, we were doing some work at this local body, this local church. You all know my story. Like I said, I won't tell the details of it. You can go back and watch other videos. But we just to sum it up quickly, our ministry was an evangelistic type ministry that we did for the last 10 years before we started this new season on full time on the farm and ministering through these videos and ministering through what we're doing on the farm. But we would go from local body to local body, church to church, and we would teach them how to get out into their neighborhoods and do what we call prayer walking. And so the Lord gave us this vision that the church had shackles or a chain around it, and it wasn't moving. It was all stationary. And things that are stationary that don't move, they need to be purified, or they're not like the flow. You think about your blood. If your blood isn't moving, you're dead. You think about water. If water is still, a lot of times like our pond grows algae on it. But if the wind comes and blows it or it moves it, or you put an aerator on it and bubble the water up, it purifies it and makes it clean. And so in other words, we were going to these local bodies, going from church to church, and there was this pastor. He would always say at the end of the services, he would say, "Does anybody here need prayer?" He would have an altar call, as we call it. And he would say, "Does anybody here need prayer?" And it's like the first time he said it, I sat down. I didn't move, knowing I needed prayer. You know what I'm saying? So the second time he said it, I heard it, didn't move. Third time he said it, the Holy Spirit convicted me to say, "So you don't need prayer?" So you're looking at everybody else around you, and since they're sitting down, you're gonna sit down as well. And so the Holy Spirit really convicted me to say, how do you expect for me to work on your behalf when you are testifying that you don't need prayer? And so the next time that pastor said that, he says, "Does anybody here need prayer?" Now I knew what he meant. He meant, does anybody here have a special prayer request? Now, I didn't have any special prayer requests, but that's not what he said. He said, does anybody here need prayer? And the Holy Spirit was looking to see who was going to be confident enough and bold enough to go up there, even though they didn't have any special requests. But we all need prayer. And so I started going up there. I went up there the first week. Second week, he said, "Does anybody here need prayer?" I got up again, went up there. Week after week after week after week, every week at the end of the service, he would say, "Does anybody here need prayer?" And I would get up. You know what I'm saying? And one time, he came up with the microphone, and he was like, "What is your specific request?" And so I was like, "I don't have any. You just said, does anybody need prayer?" And it's like everybody kind of started chuckling and laughing. But it's like that's the principle. Small steps of obedience can get you great distances, because in that season where the Holy Spirit convicted me to say, if somebody says, "Do you need prayer?" I don't need to be thinking about all these fancy flashy things and trying to figure out what they're talking about. No, what he said was, "Do you need prayer?" And the answer is always, yes, I do need prayer. I never am in a position where I don't need prayer. So I need to testify by my actions that yes, I need prayer. So even if I don't have anything specific, now if you want to say, "Do you need specific prayer?" you say that, but you didn't say that. You said, "Does anybody need prayer?" And so I would go up every time. And it's like I built this more sensitive experience with the Holy Spirit than I had before that, understanding that I always need prayer, understanding that I don't need to be ashamed because I knew, like I say, other people, like as you walk down the aisle, you can see all the eyes on you, because usually in those situations, it's somebody that's struggling with something that's going to the altar call. It's somebody that has some type of, like somebody died in the family, or some type of struggling with drugs, or they're struggling. But I wasn't necessarily struggling with anything, but I needed because of my relationship with the Lord, I needed to do that in that season to like become who I am today. And it's like that small step of obedience like propelled me into who I am today. Like I said, you might not see a direct correlation, but I can see it written all over my life, like understanding to obey the Lord in every little whisper. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the personal relationship comes in at, because we always say like our relationship with the Lord is like a personal relationship, but sometimes we don't really have that personal relationship. We just blend in with everybody else, and it's like a group mentality. It's like a pack mentality. Like we sit in this church and it's a pack mentality. All of our faiths are intertwined, but it's like the Lord wants us to have like a personal, intentional relationship with him. And it's like, if you hear, I encourage you, next time you hear the pastor say, does anybody here need prayer? Go on up there. You know what I'm saying? And if he means something else, then he should say that. You know what I'm saying? For real. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to hold y'all too long. I just had a quick thought about prayer and about the small steps of obedience equaling great distances, because a lot of times we try to get great distances by taking big steps, but to get great distances we need to take small steps, day after day after day, small consistent steps, building little testimonies like the one I just told you about, someone saying, does anybody here need prayer, and not being willing to sit down. But with that being said, we'll just see y'all on the next one. We're here to help you not recidivize, but to maximize your potential. Small steps, great distances.